Update 3. I never revealed to my unfaithful wife that I was once a Marine sniper, and am now a CIA operative. But one night, I overheard her whispering on the phone, "Don't worry, he has no clue. Send the hitmen tomorrow, and make it look like a botched robbery." My chair. His hand rested on the desk as if he'd been caught stealing. "Logan," Jessica stammered, her voice high-pitched and panicked. "What are you doing here? I thought you were working late." I smiled, a slow deliberate smile that didn't reach my eyes. "Funny thing, I decided to come home early. Seems like I missed quite the party." Kyle straightened, trying to play it cool. He was taller than me, broader, but I could see the unease in his eyes. "Hey man, this isn't what it looks like." I tilted my head, pretending to consider his words. "Oh. So you weren't sitting in my house, drinking my wine, and plotting to kill me?" Jessica's face crumpled into a mask of indignation. "Logan, don't be ridiculous, you're being paranoid." "Am I?" I cut her off, pulling my phone from my pocket and hitting play on the recorder. Her voice filled the room, cold and calculating. "This has to happen soon. The longer we wait, the more dangerous this gets." Jessica's mouth snapped shut, her eyes darting to Kyle, who now looked like he wanted to be anywhere but here. "I'll make it look like an accident," Kyle's voice echoed from the recorder. "Clean, no loose ends." The silence that followed was deafening. "Care to explain?" I asked, my voice low and deadly calm. Jessica opened her mouth, then closed it again, like a fish gasping for air. Finally, she straightened, crossing her arms over her chest. "You weren't supposed to find out like this," she said, her tone sharp and unapologetic. "But you're impossible, Logan. Always so self-righteous. Always thinking you're better than everyone else. I deserve more. I deserve someone who actually sees me." I stared at her, the woman I had once loved, now a stranger. "So your solution was to kill me?" My voice was cold. "That's your version of deserving more." Kyle stepped forward, trying to regain control of the situation. "Look man, this is all a misunderstanding. Why don't we just..." Before he could finish, I moved, one swift step, and slammed him against the wall, twisting his arm behind his back. The sickening snap of bone filled the air, followed by a scream as Kyle crumpled to the floor, clutching his arm. Jessica shrieked, backing away. "Logan, what are you doing?" "What I should have done the moment I saw you with him," I said, my voice cold as ice. Kyle groaned on the floor, his face twisted in pain. "You're insane." I crouched down, grabbing him by the collar. "No Kyle, I'm just done playing nice." I turned to Jessica, who was now trembling, tears streaming down her face. "You wanted me gone, fine, but not like this. You're going to confess everything. To the police, to your friends, to everyone. And if you don't..." I pulled out my phone again, holding it up so she could see the live feed from the hidden camera. "I have everything, every word, every plan, every lie. If you don't cooperate, I'll make sure you both rot in prison for the rest of your lives." Her defiance crumbled in an instant. "You don't understand," she started. "Oh, I understand perfectly," I said, standing tall. "I trusted you. I loved you, and you betrayed me. Now you get to deal with the consequences." Jessica sank to her knees, sobbing. Kyle just groaned on the floor, too broken to fight back. As I walked out of the room, my chest felt lighter than it had in weeks. The storm wasn't over, but for the first time, I was in control. And they'd never see the next move coming. I walked out of the study, my footsteps deliberate and heavy, echoing down the hallway. My mind raced, already calculating my next move. Jessica and Kyle were still inside, licking their wounds. Probably whispering frantic plans to salvage what little leverage they thought they had left. But this wasn't over. Not yet. I walked to the kitchen, grabbed a glass from the cabinet, and poured myself a drink. The irony wasn't lost on me. Drinking my own wine in the house where my wife had plotted to kill me felt oddly satisfying. I leaned against the counter, letting the bitter liquid burn my throat, and waited. Not long after, Jessica emerged from the study. Her face was a mess, tear-streaked, red, and twisted with anger, but there was no shame, no guilt, just indignation. "How dare you," she hissed, her voice trembling, breaking his arm. "Threatening us. You're out of control, Logan." I let out a cold laugh, setting my glass down on the counter. "Out of control," I echoed. "Jessica, you were planning to murder me. You really want to lecture me about control right now?" She folded her arms across her chest, trying to regain some semblance of authority. "You have no idea what it's been like living with you. Always watching, always judging. I felt trapped. Kyle gave me something you never could, freedom." "Freedom?" I raised an eyebrow. "Is that what you call it? Freedom to betray your husband? Freedom to hire a man to kill me? That's not freedom, Jessica. That's cowardice." Her jaw tightened, and for a moment, I thought she might lunge at me. But then, her eyes flickered, a glint of something dark passing through them. "You think you're so clever," she said, her voice dropping to a venomous whisper. "But you're not invincible, Logan. You can't control everything. Before I could respond, a loud bang came from outside. I froze, my hand instinctively reaching for the pistol tucked into the back of my jeans. Jessica's eyes widened. She took a step back, her bravado crumbling in an instant. "What was that?" she whispered. I moved to the front door, my heart pounding. Pulling the gun free, I cracked the door open just enough to peer outside. The rain had stopped, but the driveway was bathed in the harsh glow of headlights. A black SUV was parked at the curb, its engine idling, the windows were tinted. I couldn't see who was inside. Then, the driver's side door opened. A man stepped out, tall and broad-shouldered, dressed in black from head to toe. He wasn't visibly armed, but the confidence in the way he moved set my instincts on edge. Behind me, Jessica appeared, clutching the doorframe. When she saw the man, her face went pale. "Oh my God," she whispered. "Who is it?" I demanded, my voice sharp. She didn't answer. The man approached the house, his steps deliberate and unhurried. When he reached the porch, he stopped, hands in his pockets, and looked straight at me. "Logan Michaels," he said, his voice deep and gravelly. "We need to talk." I stepped outside, keeping the gun at my side but ready. "Who the hell are you?" He smirked, a cold, calculated expression. "Let's just say I'm an associate of Kyle's. He called me earlier tonight, sounded pretty desperate." Of course. The coward had called for backup. "You've got 30 seconds to get back in that car and drive away," I said, my voice calm but firm. The man's smirk widened. "Or what, you'll shoot me?" He gestured toward the SUV. "Go ahead, but you won't like what happens next." For the first time, I noticed movement behind the tinted windows. There were others inside. "You see," he continued, "Kyle hired me for more than just moral support. He thought you might be difficult. So he brought me in to clean up the mess." Jessica let out a small gasp. "You wanted chaos, Jessica?" I said coldly. "Well, congratulations, you got it." And with that, I braced myself for the fight of my life. The pounding on the front door was relentless, each thud like a hammer driving home the insanity of the situation. Jessica stood frozen, her back pressed against the wall, her wide eyes darting toward me for answers I didn't have. The men outside were no amateurs. These weren't hired thugs, they were trained professionals, disciplined. Now you can watch the second part by pressing share and more.